There's a reason why so many people do not even make progress on their New Year's resolutions for the goals that they make. And the reason being is because we normally make goals the wrong way. We do them in a way that sets us up for failure from the beginning. And so in this video, obviously we're going to be talking about goals related to doing temple work and family history. I'm going to highlight the common mistakes that we make in setting goals in general, but also around temple work, and then how to shift our mindset around them to where it will be unbelievably doable to achieve the goal and take advantage of those blessings that are promised when we do this type of work. So if we're meeting for the first time, again, this is Will Humphreys. I am here on this channel, The Ties That Bind, to help make temple and family history work easier and more engaging. And so today, it's coming into the end of the year. It's time to set goals for next year. And I have worked with coaches in my business life for years on how to achieve goals, how to set them appropriately. And it's interesting how these laws of the universe are like gravity. If it applies to one domain of life, they apply to all domains of life. And so I've had a greater success last year in my goal setting on a spiritual domain based on these techniques that I learned in my business domain. And so I'm going to be sharing some of those today. The first thing I just want to go over, though, is that something pretty obvious that needs to be said is that what we focus on grows, what we think about expands, and what we dwell upon determines our destiny, right? So as we look at these types of goals and planning, it's so interesting how we tend to set our goals based on a specific measurement, right? We set a goal usually on losing weight. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. And what they've researched and found is that that's not a reason to become the thing that we want. We have to define the outcome for the goal. So what they have found is that people, instead of setting goals in the weight loss domain of like trying to lose 20 pounds, what if they set the goal to become a marathon runner or a CrossFitter or whatever it is that they become, that being the goal and measuring progress towards that with the outcome being this weight loss thing. And obviously there's so much a shift in mindset around that. So how does that apply to temple work? Well, I'm glad you asked. So right as we get into it, this is how we typically do things. This is an example goal for 2023. And what we typically do if we live near a temple, and this is obviously people who live within, an hour of the temple or around that, they'll say, hey, I'm going to go once a month. My goal for the year is once a month, I'll go 12 times a year. And to be really clear, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not invalidating that process. It's just not inspiring. Like, the truth of the matter is, that's not the why we're going. Football teams, I don't really care for sports, but football teams, they play the Super Bowl to become the best in the world, not to get a specific number on the score. The scoreboard, it just tracks their success around it, right? So when we're looking back at the goals, it's important to understand that when we set goals, we want them to be about the thing that we are becoming or the actual outcome that we are achieving. Like in this case, what if it was saving 50 souls of our own family? There's a big distinction between the two, even though numerically they are the same. If you broke down, the 4 types of service in temple work: baptism, initiatory, endowment, and sealings. If you broke those down, every time you do, obviously an endowment, that's one time, it's one person that you're serving at a time every time you go. But the other ones are usually about 5 or more. So that could be 50 souls if you go once a year. It's the same goal in terms of like action, but being in the mindset that I'm going to save 50 souls of my family members this year is a lot more inspiring. And every time we do it, we may feel a greater call to want to be in a place of like researching actual family member names. It's wonderful to go no matter what, right? And there's so much more promised blessings if we do our own family history on it. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's been a wonderful journey to be able to do that. So listen, when we're making our goals, it's also really important to make sure that we do them in a way that is easy. So we use this term called SMART goals. In my business world, there's like SMART goals and then there's ARM goals, but I like SMART goals because it's just really simple. So the S stands for specific. We want the goals to be specific, right? In either case over here, that is specific. Then there's measurable. Can we measure it? In both cases, we can measure it. The thing that we oftentimes get wrong is the achievable. As they say, we overestimate what we can do in a day, we dramatically underestimate what we can do in a year. So setting goals to where they're very chewable is very important. So there's no judgment, in my opinion, about what your number is. I would just ask you to change the way that you think about your goals and set them in a way to where it's challenging, but very doable. You know, inch by inch it's a cinch, yard by yard it's hard. My East Texas grandmother used to say, how do you bite an elephant? How do you eat an elephant? How you bite an elephant is something else, but how you eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right? So setting these goals to be very achievable and realistic is huge, and then timely. You want to make sure we put a time on it. So usually like a year, a quarter, whatever that might be. And what they have found oftentimes is that for some people, they actually do better with quarterly goals. It can be overwhelming to do like a full year at a time. So maybe you take that year goal and you break it down into quarters or months and make it sort of super achievable. So my hope is that by watching this video, you're in that mindset of setting goals for the next year in a way that will inspire you, in a way that will be achievable and simple, but yet challenge you in terms into growing into this wonderful field called Temple and Family History work. So guys, if you have any other suggestions for how to make goals, or if you'd like to share your goals with me, please put those in the comments below. And always remember, share this with anyone you know who could benefit from this. You're doing us all a favor when you like and subscribe or you share this with somebody else, because this message and the way that we're talking about it, this conversation is one of the most important ones we can have in this day and age. So until our next video, we'll see you next time.